In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to validate something only when a checkbox is clicked. So for the reference letter, or for the resume letter, we wanted it to always be tested. So we tested it when it's submitted. The reference letter, however, is we allow them to check whether they're going to attach that or not, or whether the other choice would be that they have it sent directly rather than us upload it. So we're going to let them be able to check it. And we really only want to make sure that they've attached it if they've selected that they want to upload it. And so it's a slightly different, it's very similar but slightly different. So let's go ahead and see how this works. So we still are loading this function, right? We're adding this event, this large function when the page loads. Inside that, what we're doing is we're adding an event listener to the submit button. And that's when we want to test this, is inside here. So we're going to add this test inside this event listener. And we're going to do it, we can do it after the resume. We can say validate the reference letter file is uploaded and correct only when the checkbox is selected, checked. Okay, so we only want to do it when it's checked. So the way to do that is to ask. So we ask if that checkbox is checked. So we just simply go get it, get element by ID, and we're going to go get that checkbox. So let's find out what that checkbox. Here it is. It's called reference. So I'm going to say, okay, if that checkbox is called reference, right? And what I'm asking for is if it's checked. And so the way that I say that is get this element and then find out. Checked is either going to be true or false. So I can use it actually as my if statement. If it's checked, this will produce a true value. If it's not checked, this will produce a false value. So if it's checked, then I want to test to make sure that that file is correct. So I want to do the same thing. I want to get the file name. I want to figure out a pattern. So notice that I'm just going to simply use these variables over again. So I'm going to define them up here at the top of this submit event listener, so that I can use those same variables over and over again. And since I've defined them there, I won't redefine it here, and I can just give it a value. Okay? So I need to do exactly the same thing. In fact, it's so much the same, I'm going to go ahead and copy this in this if statement. So it's only going to be in that case. Now, this is not all exactly correct, because now I need to get it from the name of the file name. So let's go see what the file name for this is. There's the file upload, and it's called reference file. So I'm going to go get this from the reference file, get its value stored in file name, and I have to decide the pattern. So the pattern is still going to be PDF, but it's not going to be JPEG. It's going to have these other two patterns, right? So instead of JPEG, I'm going to list DOC or DOCX. Right now, it's still going to have one or more characters of any type, then a dot, then either PDF or DOC or DOCX, and it must be at the end, and I want it to be case insensitive. Okay, that's the pattern we want. We do want to test. If it's checked, then we want to test if there's no file, we want to put an error. But now we want to write it to a different message. So we need to go to where this input file is and add a span here where we can put that error message. So here I'm going to call it ID equals, and this will be reference. I'm going to call it reference message. So I come back to my JavaScript and I call it reference message. I want to say must upload a reference file. Then I want to ask if the pattern is found, so I'm going to test it. If the pattern's found, then I want to set it to nothing. Else, then I want to set error true. And here I'm going to do that reference message again. And the file must be PDF doc, comma, or .docx. Okay, let's see if we made that all work out as planned. So we reload, and okay, so we know we have to choose a file here, so I'm going to go ahead and choose a resume file that will work. And now if this is checked, let's see what happens if I don't choose anything. I submit. Oh, it doesn't submit the application, so the error was set right and it said you must upload a reference file. Okay, what happens if we check something with the right value? So this could be a .docs and try the submit. Oh, then the submit works and it works out fine. Let's see what happens if we choose something that doesn't match. Let's do the dot with an extra letter and see what happens. Oh, and it tells us, so it doesn't submit and it tells us what's wrong. Okay, and we can test it against a PDF. And it allows that and submits it. And we can test it against a dot. We haven't done this one yet, so we can test that. That one works, which is what we expect. So we can go through and test all of these, right? And we can, what about, can we do a JPEG? Let's see if we can do a JPEG on this one. And no, we can't, because JPEG is not allowed there. So there, we've been able to do that, and this time we're only doing it if it's checked, right? If it's not checked, then it's not required. So let's go ahead and uncheck it and choose a file. This one we can do a PDF, and it's unchecked, and now we submit. And notice it didn't stop the submit. So we only checking that when it is checked. Now before we're done, we also want to, this checkbox is related, right? When this is checked, we want something to be entered in the checkbox as well. So we've already done it with the file, and so that's working good. So now let's go ahead and when this is checked, let's verify that there's something in the text box. Now we're not doing anything specific with that checkbox. So here we are in our if statement if it's checked. But let's go ahead and say if, and we're going to go ahead and get that text box, right? So document.getElementById, and let's figure out what that text box is called. And there it is. There's the text box, right? Oh, it was up here. Sorry, that wasn't it. It's the one right here with the reference letter. So it's this text box. It's called reference name. Let's go ahead and put a, we want to write an error here, so we're going to write a span here and set this ID to reference. And we already have a reference message, so we need a reference name message. So we can write to that. Okay, so here we want to say, we want to get reference name. So that's the element, and we want to get the value, right? And if that value is equal to nothing, right, and we do that with the empty string, then it's an error. So we'll set the error to true, and we'll write to that. message. This is reference name message. And we're going to set the inner HTML equal to must enter the name of who wrote, enter the, let's do this, author of the reference letter. Okay, so notice that we really weren't verifying anything on this particular one except if it's empty. So we don't know what their name is, and we're not going to fuss about that. So we're not going to do any kind of regular expression. We're just going to test to make sure that it's not empty. Okay, so let's do this. So we know that I reloaded it. We know we have to have a resume selected. We've already done that as a PDF. And we're going to check this. So we know that we already need a file and that works with a .docs file. And now let's see if it's empty, what happens. Oh, there we go. Must end author reference letter. So we can write here, Scott Barnes, and click on it, and it works. All right, so that's pretty straightforward. We were able to verify the file was submitted and do all of the regular expression to make sure it had the right extension, and then the text box, we just verified that it was not empty. Only when this is checked, we validate these two.